Mark Munoz, and you're watching the MMA Show.
And we've done it in like, what, 5 years, 4 years? Big difference.
And the last one, you know, when you're on top, there are always haters around, and I did a small research with Google.
I got a lot of haters, man.
So I did a small research with Google, and when you type UFC is a, and then you have the help from the Google, and it says Google is UFC is a fake, UFC is a joke. And my question is, what the hell is wrong with those people?
I'm with you, brother. I have no idea, man. Yeah, I agree. You know, the more successful you get and the bigger you get, believe me, I know about haters. And it is what it is, man. Every day that I say it all the time, every day that I get out of bed, man, bad shit happens and I got to deal with it, and there's just another battle to fight somewhere else. But, you know, look where we started. Nobody cared about this sport. It wasn't allowed on television. It wasn't allowed on pay-per-view in America. And we've come this far, and we're not stopping now, man. We've got a great brand, and like I said earlier here tonight, every time we put on fights, these athletes deliver, and they blow the roof off the place like they did tonight. There's no stopping this thing. It's only getting bigger. It's only getting better, and there's only going to be more and more money involved for the guys.
So you said you have a lot of haters, but when you do what you do for the sport, how much is it you, you know, realizing your inside ego, or is it like you just do it only for the sport, not as a day-night, just for, you know, for the...
Yeah, well, when we started this thing, believe me when I tell you, when we started this thing, you better have had no ego. I mean, I literally had to go chase people around and get denied meetings and have to go find them and try to meet with them out in the hallways or in the streets or whatever it was. And believe me, we have very, and I mean very, humble beginnings. To be standing here today and saying we did the biggest gate in the arena's history, and we're doing this big Fox deal next week, and I mean, this is all stuff that we dreamed about, you know, just a few years ago, not you know, 20 years ago, a few years ago, meaning 6 or 7 years ago. And you know, we got involved in this thing, me and the Fertitta brothers, to build a sport. And to build a sport, everybody all over the world plays by the same rules. And that's what we've been doing. We've been going from state to state, country to country, and introducing this awesome sport and these awesome athletes to the world. And the great thing about this sport is, and in the way that I think we present it to everyone, it's the most exciting sport in the world, and it's very addicting. And you know, a perfect example is, and I talked to all these guys up on the stage, and the other guys that aren't on the stage, you know, after the weigh-ins. People, you know, as big as this thing is and as successful as we've been, and we've been on a run of like 15 shows that have been awesome. Yet people talk shit about this card and that this is a horrible card and everything else. And the guy sitting up here, not me, these guys went out and stuck it up everybody's ass.
Dana, Charlie from Addicted MMA.
Hi.
With how well the UFC is doing and how it's growing, what is your opinion on how the promotions in the UK are growing? Do you think they're doing enough to look after their fighters, or do you think it's still got a long way to go?
To be honest with you, I don't know enough about the local promotions, but what I do know is every time we go in any new country, MMA explodes in those countries, from, you know, people training to MMA schools to other local promotions to t-shirt companies and all kinds of other companies that are involved producing MMA products or whatever it may be. But I think that, you know, on these lower levels, you know, there's going to be problems, and there's going to be guys that, the things that I said that we didn't do, you know, not paying guys on time and guys checks bouncing and things like that, you're going to hear that stuff in smaller promotions. You used to hear it in boxing all the time. But yeah, I mean, I don't know really how else to answer that question. I hope I did.
Dean Singer, Woe TV, over here, Dana. Standing up.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
With Michael Bisping fighting May and Miller later in the year, how close is he to a title shot? Is there a possibility of that being...
Ask that question again?
With Michael Bisping fighting May and Miller
Yeah.
later in the year, if he wins that fight, how close is he to a title shot? And is there a possibility of that being in the UK?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like to answer those questions. You know, here you got Munoz, you got Bisping. We've got some guys. We got Chael Sonnen, possibly Dan Henderson at 85. So I don't know. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. We got some fights coming up here first, including Bisping's. We'll see what happens, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, one more question coming from me. You probably know this is coming. With some Strikeforce fighters coming over back to the UFC, what are the possibilities of Paul Daly making a return?
Well, we, you know, the Strikeforce Showtime deal isn't done yet. We'll see what happens with that first. And then, you know, I just have a hard time with what Daly did. You know, it's not like Daly's been so friendly since that happened either. Plus, he hasn't won. You know, I mean, the guy's got to win some fights. Any guy who loses in the UFC or any of the other, you know, promotions, you lose and you go get some wins somewhere else and come back. So, I'm not a fan, to be honest. You know that.
There's a bit too keen there. Master Wang here from the MMA Show.info. How you doing? First off, the card was spectacular.
Thank you, sir.
Spectacular fights.
Thank you, sir.
Interesting, the first 5 rounds title fight or non-title fight, first 5 rounder. He's soon to be in Japan. Is there any chance of bringing back Pride Rules for a Japanese card?
Who did you say?
Pride Rules.
Paid rules. Pride rules.
Pride. Pride Rules.
You're killing me over there, Braveheart. No, we wouldn't bring back Pride rules. What we're doing, like I said, is we're taking this into all these other countries, the unified rules. It's like the game of soccer. Same game we play in the United States, the same game they play in Japan, everywhere.
Well, it's just with new options during the game and extended 5 rounds, etc. Just thinking a one-off card, going to Japan, the home of Pride, his own Pride.
Well, with all the research that we've done over there, the Japanese don't want. They don't want a Pride type show. They don't want the Japanese guys that fought in Pride and all that. They want the UFC product. What they watch on TV over there, and this is what it's like in all the countries that we go to. They want what they're seeing on television. They want the best fights with, you know, Bruce Buffer, Joe Rogan. You know, they want the whole. They want everything that they see on TV.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
There's a question for Brad Pickett. Brad, at the pre-event press conference, I asked you if you thought your weight class is given the respect that it deserves, and you said that it definitely will do after this fight. So do you think that's the case now?
Well, yeah, hopefully it's in well, I don't know, I'm kind of like still disappointed by coming off losing the fight, but yeah, obviously with the stage that we get given to show our skills, I believe our weight class, not just our weight class, any other fights, you know, the more you get a chance to show what you can do, and I think in our weight class we do have a lot of very skillful guys, so yeah, hopefully we do get more exposure.
Dana, what are your thoughts on that? Like as a promoter, do you find it harder to put the smaller guys across?
Yeah, no, not at all. Basically, we're working hard now that these guys are in here and getting them out there in front of the world. When you're a fight fan, you could care less what a guy weighs. What you want to see are exciting, entertaining fights. And, you know, it's our job to get out there and promote these guys and get the world to see them. All you got to do is look at that fight. That fight was awesome. It's the fight of the night. And this was an incredible card with tons of incredible fights. That fight was the fight of the night. And, you know, the WEC was so successful because of the way that these guys fought. And, yeah, the weight doesn't matter. There was a time when we didn't have 155 pound, and then when the first fight we ever did was the title fight with BJ and Jens Pulver. We made that the main event. And you know, the card didn't do well, and everybody was going, you can't headline a card with 55 pounders. Look at our 55 pound division now. BJ Penn became one of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts and was a huge pay-per-view draw. So that's all bullshit. It's not true. Just, we got to get these guys out there.
Question for John McGuire. I think it was in the first round, you got hit with a spinning back kick followed by a right hand that dropped you. And I was just curious to know what that felt like.
Well, I wanted to get like, well, I don't know what it felt like, I can't remember it. I only see it back on the replay. I just got lazy, the nerves got to me and I let him back me up, but I'm feeling it now, I can tell you.
And last question is for Terry. All the English guys especially watch you for years, and we know that your kickboxing is at an absolutely elite level. And your fellow UFC lightweight Donald Cerrone recently said something to the effect, I think he said he was the best kickboxer in MMA or the best kickboxer in the UFC or something. The best Thai fighter. And I just wonder what you think of that. Do you agree?
Well, that's his opinion. I've obviously got my opinion, I think that my striking is one of the best in the division. Donald Cerrone is a very good fighter, he's coming to the division and he's absolutely fine, so, taking on away from him, but I think that my striking is definitely up there as well.
Hi Dana. Hey. To your left.